one winner to another winner, different space, but this is the power space we are talking about. Now, the government targets to roll out 25 crore smart meters by FY25. The revamped distribution sector scheme has a total outlay of 3 lakh crore rupees over 5 years. The opportunity is very large. The runway is large. Stocks have done very well as well. We have Mr. Gautam Seth, Joint Managing Director at HPL Electric, joining in. We also have Harshvardhan Dole, Vice President, Institutional Equities at IIFL, joining in. Harshvardhan, of course, wrote a report on this, a couple of months ago in terms of the large opportunity that the sector provides. Mr. Seth, great to have you with us here. Good morning. Thanks very much, Prashant, this side.
Yeah, good morning.
So, the opportunity, I think, is now well understood, but a fair bit kind of depends on execution. Just a couple of numbers, if you can give us. What is HPL's sort of installed base of smart meters now? What is the capacity at HPL Electric? And how will these numbers sort of progress as we go forward in FY24 over FY23, FY25 over FY24? Will we see a big step up in these numbers?
Yeah. Good morning, Prashant. If you see our capacity, we are well over 1 crore meters per annum. And in terms of the installed base, if you look at the installed base from over the years, it is probably runs into a couple of crores. I probably don't have the number immediately. But if you see HPL Electric's execution and the order book over the last even the 4 to 5 quarters, that has been going up. And as we speak today, we are currently sitting on almost 2,200 plus crores of orders. The execution is also increasing on a quarter-to-quarter basis. And so that is how we have been seeing the moment of the execution and the orders. Going forward, definitely, we are going to see a huge increase in terms of revenue and our installation base, because most of these orders which have come in have been in the past 3 to 6 months. And in the orders under the RDSS, the AMISP orders are, they do require almost 6 to 9 months before the installation starts. So a lot of these orders which were received are today either under production or they are starting to get installed. So we definitely would see a much larger volume in terms of executions as we go forward.
Okay. Harshvardhan Dole is also joining us to discuss more about, the role that smart metering is playing in the entire ecosystem, as well as how the orders are surging. Harsh, thanks a lot for joining in. If you can just start, for the benefit of our viewers, explain what is the opportunity in the smart metering sector over the next couple of years. How do the economics work at the moment? And how does this help, the current players in the ecosystem?
Hi, good morning. I think the opportunity is quite significant. If all the state DISCOMs were to switch to smart meters, I think the opportunity could be well in excess of 25 crore that has been talked about. And it basically could come in two forms. One is the DISCOMs doing the capex on their own, which seems quite unlikely given their, weak financial health. And therefore, they call in for competitive bids and procuring meters, and they paying basically on a monthly basis. In my opinion, this is a model which is largely being explored by the private sector. And if it works out, it will be a great win-win for the private sector as well as the DISCOM, as well as the consumer. I think it will be a stepping stone to turn around the whole sector, because then the whole data management will be in place, and somebody who's quite mischievous in not paying essentially bills quite be monitored, and hopefully the DISCOMs can take corrective action to plug off the power supply. So this is a good stepping stone, but I wouldn't say the ultimate one, because the smart meters ought to be, supplemented with prepaid features, so that the working capital issue encountered by the State Electricity Board can be addressed once and for all. So I hope states take cognizance of that.
Okay. Mr. Seth, comment on your experience so far. You've also, gotten into a tie-up with a company known as Wirepass. Pardon my pronunciation, right? So I just want to understand from the HPL Electric standpoint, what's your game plan for smart meters? I mean, will you bid for contracts directly, or will you in turn become a vendor for those like Tata Power who might be bidding? And in this entire value chain, I mean, what's the value creation for you in terms of profitability, in terms of just, what's the revenue potential from the smart metering business?
Yeah. So if you look at it, in the past, in the immediate past, our focus has been to be one of the leading supplier of smart meter to all the AMI SPs, and that is what our main forte has been. Our preparedness for in terms of R&D and in terms of all having our complete preparedness on the resources in terms of infrastructure has already been completed. Now, looking at the way, so that is the primary objective and the opportunity what we see. Apart from that, the smart meter opportunity is also throwing up a lot of new opportunities which come into in the whole in the ecosystem, and the communication network is again one of the very strong part of the complete AMI SP rollout. And
so, Mr. Seth, can you put a number?
Yeah,
we're a little short on time, so I mean,
okay,
some numbers would help.
So our tie-up with Wirepass has been that we have today a very strong technology of the RF mesh coming in. They are providing the software stack. Our with our resources and the integration, we can be providing the communication technologies as well along with the smart meter. So that makes us again looking at the ecosystem in a bigger way. In terms of numbers, definitely, we are sitting on almost over 2,000 crore orders, as I said. Going forward, on an immediate basis also, we do look at almost a similar kind of orders to come out, because the opportunity, as Harshvardhan said, is huge, and we definitely will look at a...
No, and what revenue does it translate into? 2,000 meters, yes, but I mean, we are not aware of pricing dynamics, etc. Ballpark, yes. What's the revenue you can make from smart meters this year and in FY25?
So this year, I think combined, if you look at, I think anywhere it can be over 1,500 crores or even 2,000 plus crores going forward in the immediate 1.5 to 2 years.
Okay. Yeah. So sorry, 2,000 crores overall company revenues in FY25.
No, so we, I would say in this year we are looking at anywhere between 1,500 to 1,600 crores for this current year. But the next year, beyond that, we will see more of the schedules for the smart meters kicking in. And that is where we see again an upside. So it could be 1,800 or it could be 2,000. But definitely, in terms of all our businesses, we would see an upside going forward.
And margins will stay around this 12% zone?
The meter margins, the EBIT margins are around, you can say maybe 13 to 14%. But on an at least on a short-term basis, we would see the meter margins start going up as the smart meters become a much higher, proportion in the total order execution.
So, I just had one question. You said earlier that you have a capacity currently, I think, of 1 crore meters, right, per annum. And you have, of course, this opportunity, 2,000 crore order book, etc. Can you tell me if there is more capex that you plan to put on board to up your capacity? And if yes, what is the kind of investment that you will make in capex over the next 2 to 3 years? Would that mean any pressure on your balance sheet?
No, in fact, if you see, since the last 3 to 4 years, our capex and preparedness has been there. And we have, in fact, been waiting for this kind of an opportunity, which has come now in the last 8 to 9 months. But despite that, when we see the rollout and as more and more meters are getting executed, we have been investing we have been expanding our capacity because this is a flexible capacity in a way that recently we've just upgraded our electronic section in a bigger way to enhance, to bring in faster productivity and much more better automation. So a lot of work in our factories is going on the automation to bring out much faster, better products with the minimum resources. So a small, I would say, more of a maintenance capex has been going on, but the large capex and our preparedness, as I said earlier, has already been done to exploit the opportunity which would roll out in the next 3 to 5 years.
Harshvardhan, very briefly, we're in an election cycle, right? And power is a hot subject there. Is there any risk of derailment? Not just this, but I mean, because we've been seeing a thrust towards reforms in the power sector. Or is that not a risk? This is what we've started on will continue to stay on this path. Harshvardhan?
I think this time the structure of reforms is quite different. This time states have to perform in order to get incremental grant. And essentially fungibility of funds does not exist. And to that extent, the seriousness is very different than what we have seen in the earlier cycles. So I would expect the momentum to continue. It's just that, the state level politics is quite different than what center envisages. And that is what the cause of concern is. I mean, I'm sure you would have read in several newspapers that one of the southern states, the center says is basically on the brink of bankruptcy. If that is the case, then, such reforms will get paused. And I hope center and state will work together so that these reforms can be taken to logical conclusion. Otherwise, as such, it is quite a sensitive issue when it comes to election year.
All right, gentlemen, we'll leave it at that. Thanks a lot for joining us and talking about the smart metering opportunity for the entire sector as well as, for your business, Mr. Seth. All the best.